Welcome to the 5:30 p.m. September 12th, 2023 CRA meeting. We do have a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to order. Would you please join me in a moment of silence and obviously remember the 9/11, those who were lost their lives, and our first responders. And the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, would you please read the rules to speak?
Yes, sir. Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card prior to the item being introduced. Sign-up cards are available on the table. Individuals wishing to speak on non-agenda items may do so under petitions and requests. No sign-up card is required. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak on all agenda items. All sign-up cards and exhibits being submitted to the CRA shall be placed in the box on the table.
Thank you very much. I need approval of the minutes for the CRA meeting on August 8th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Minutes passed. City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor. Oh, wait, this is CRA, sorry. We're now on item 8A, which is the FY24 CRA budget. On February 14th, 2023, the CRA provided direction for the fiscal year 2024 budget. On 14 March 2023, the CRA reviewed and accepted the proposed FY 2024 CRA budget. On 11 July 23, the proposed budget was revised based on additional estimates. It is requested that CRA approve the FY 24 budget and by resolution 22/2023 to transmit the budget to the City Council for adoption on their 21 September 23 final budget hearing.
Board, do we have any comments on that? If not, call the cards.
One card is Tony Schifolo.
Hello, Tony Schifolo, Historic Norwood House, 715 Tropic Street. I don't know much about the CRA budget, but I did look over this one, and one of the things that I noticed that's missing from all our local budgets is any kind of line item or any kind of thing that would set aside some funding for arts.
I was just going to say that, arts.
So I just wanted to speak to that specifically about the budget, that there should be some line item that shows some kind of support for local artists other than painters, which Brevard County seems to have a great source of funding for, or used to, or, like I like to say, old dead has been Broadway musicals. That's the only art I see around here. So I'd like to see some money set aside for some other kinds of art, especially in the downtown area. Thank you.
Tony, don't leave real quick. Point well taken. I thought of you the other day. Maybe it was this morning. I read Florida Today. There may be a reconsideration of the county commission. What would I call it? Their vote on the arts. So you and I discussed. I won't get into it because I just got it from the newspaper myself, but I thought, so let's pay attention to that too.
I didn't see that. I was over in Tampa this weekend.
Maybe somebody else saw it too.
Performing as an artist over in Tampa.
There you go. So anyway,
have to
Member
leave
Nelson.
I was just going to say, Tony, and we also, I think, put in the budget the asphalt art.
That's a
So
beginning.
that would be a
That's-
start.
That at least people will see as they.
Yeah,
Member Ball.
maybe think about it.
I'd like to thank you very much for your comments, and I have a few things I can add to the comment you just made regarding
Please
the
do.
reconsideration by at least the vote. There was, I watched that with great interest, and I want to bring this up for two things. First, with respect to the CRA, there are real limitations on what the CRA can do in place of some of the funding that has been withdrawn by the county from the tourist development. I mean, we can't market, we can't promote events per se. We can do brick and mortar. There's things we could do, But I can assure you that the city, you will be hearing more about this, and so will the CRA. So the short outcome of what happened today is Member Goodson did move for reconsideration to restore all 25 of the cultural arts grants. His motion died for lack of a second to get a reconsideration. So the $530,000 in cultural support grants that had been approved up to the county to act on for 25 arts and culture organizations was not reconsidered. So there was some additional conversation regarding the funding for the Brevard Cultural Alliance, separate issue, that was reconsidered and brought up. And what the county commission decided to do was to fund 3 months of what would have been that portion of the BCA's budget for the coming year, Brevard Cultural Alliance. So basically $53,000, and then that's it. I think what is of critical concern to the CRA and to the city is that 2 of the organizations that were taken off the availability of getting grant funding are in the downtown redevelopment district, Titusville Playhouse and the U.S. Space Walk of Fame. We have a total of 3 others, 2 in the city and 1 in North Brevard, American Police Hall of Fame, the Valiant Air Command Museum, and the Moore Center. So all of those will not receive any of the funding that they had at one point somewhat expected to be funded out of the proceeds from the tourist development receipts, not the city taxpayers, not the county taxpayers. So for you members of council, because it's not as much a CRA issue as it is for you guys, you have a real vested interest, in my opinion, as to how the county allocates and administrates the tourist development receipts and revenues, and there should be some equitable distribution of those funds for promoting events, promoting arts and culture throughout the county. What you may be aware the county commission did was they reallocated the funds to lifeguards. I think there's some legitimate questions to be asked as to whether that's appropriate reallocation of the funds, since the arts are included in the ordinance by specific percentages. But just so you have an awareness as you get in, you're going to have people coming and asking you. I think that was an interesting comment that we heard from the county commission to the BCA and the arts organizations. Go to your cities. Go to your cities and ask for funding that you've lost. Here, basically, is what the message is. Well, the funding that came to them previously was through the tourist tax, not the taxpayers. Any funding, it would be my understanding that the city has no discretion over TDC revenues, really has no say-so how they're allocated or how they're used. So these organizations are encouraged to continue, and of course we will. I just want to share with you as a little factoid about Titusville Playhouse. Would have received $25,000 as the Playhouse has in the past. All of TPI's grant money coming from the tourist development tax would be used, as it has been this year, to fund out-of-county promotion of the Playhouse. We have expended already, many of you got the direct mail brochure, $86,000 to cover the area from Suntree well up into Volusia, well into Orange County, Seminole, portions of Osceola. Over 48,000 of that is to out-of-county households, directly going outside the county to bring people in. And of that 48,000, the assistance from the TDC promotion market was 25,000. We had to earn that. Titusville Playhouse had to earn that. So I think there may be a lot of misunderstanding about, hey, the county just didn't have enough money in their budget. They cut it out, in favor of what they saw as a higher priority. Go talk to the cities. Well, it's two different colors of money.
Right.
The TDC money was intended to do this. So that's the quick update as to what happened. And I would just close by saying it is important to the CRA, but it's important to the larger city. Our growth in hotel rooms, our growth in vacation rentals, our growth in drawing people into this county for space launches and many other reasons is undeniable, and it continues to grow. Yet I'm not sure the city of Titusville can feel confident that it's getting an equitable share of what's the intended use of the TDC budget. I will say that there was activity on the part of the commissioners after they refused to reconsider the grants, to go back in and not restore the grants, but to look at whether marketing budget could be combined with big events. And so there is potentially some positive dialogue going on. However, the money that's been withdrawn, and going to be redeployed to the lifeguards is gone. So if the cultural organizations are able to compete, they'll be competing with the boat show and other things, large things, for marketing dollars. Nobody quite knows how that will turn out to be, solicited and awarded, but it's a smaller bucket. And finally, I'd say I doubt seriously that the Canaveral National Seashore is going to see any of those lifeguards.
No. Never.
So
Never
I
did.
encourage mayor and council members, and on behalf of your role for the CRA, to ask questions and get satisfied yourself that North Brevard's getting a fair shake.
Thank you. Member Stokel.
Yep. Thank you, Member Ball, for bringing that up. That's actually been something on my personal list. This one's a tough one for me, actually. I don't remember what year it was, but I served on the BCA committee to award some of these grants one year, so I've been through that process. It's challenging for me because, to your point, and those of us that have been on council for a while, I'm sure you remember when we were being threatened to get rid of our CRAs because we need to make sure we use our money appropriately. So this could depend on different people's view of what government dollars should be spent, but I have a really hard time saying that we should use CRA funds for this personally. And then even going into our Titusville city budget, I would have a hard time with it as well. That being said, I feel like, to your point, the TDC, there are certain line items and accounts that were designed specifically for these that wouldn't necessarily get us into trouble being like, why are you using CRA funds? If you remember when we were doing street parties and things like that, I want to stay clear of that. The flip side is I think that we should do some research at the county level. And even if it's not, we don't agree on how those monies should be spent, I do think it's worthwhile to make sure that Titusville is getting their fair share. Because as we know, we have the Canaveral National Seashore here. I don't think those lifeguards are going this way. If not, where can we get our funds? So personally, I know we can't discuss it outside of here, but just letting you guys know, while I plan to do some research within like the county commissioners at the county level, seeing what pots we can look to. Because it is sad, but the flip side, it puts us in a tough predicament if they're being told to come to the city, where I do have strong feelings that should not be coming out of our CRA or our Titusville city budget, so.
Member Cole.
Yes, the arts are an extremely integral part of any city that's vibrant. I don't know how we would be able to fund it, but any city you go in that has grown, the theater, and those are the kinds of things which draw people into the city. And I'm not sure how to approach it. I don't know if there are grants for arts, but I think we as a council, we need to really try to research this and try to find a way that we can, maybe we could lobby the county commission. I'm not sure, but it bothers me that this has happened.
Member Nelson.
I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. What do you guys think about writing an open letter to the county commission saying, our concern is you want to spend this money for lifeguards for the beach? Are you cutting us out of our share? What part of this are we going to get? What are you doing for us? Or is it all going to Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, Melbourne Beach, Cape Canaveral, and not only us, but Cocoa, Melbourne, Palm Bay, those areas that don't have beaches? This is a pot of tax money that should be shared. And I don't know how I would word that.
Well, that's why I would say, I think he's even buzzed in here, city attorney.
Right. Are you asking as a CRA board, or is this something that you would, as a council, which should be brought up at the council meeting?
I was thinking of the CRA board because,
That's where, so make sure the context.
well, what do you guys think?
I think it would have more emphasis if it came from the council, if we all, and I don't know if we can do this, Richard, but I'd be more than willing to sign something to the county commission, asking for their help.
Well, if it's going to be a council discussion, then we should bring that up at the council meeting.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. I am certainly not opposed to expressing our concerns, but even there, Member Collier, I would be willing to sign something. We need to get more specific. I would need to know more. We would need to know more. Member Ball certainly gave us some more inside information, but we've got to know what we lost, what we might lose, what we're not getting. I think there certainly needs to be a little bit of a research before we say, hey, let's write a letter.
Yes,
I-
I agree.
Yeah,
So that being said, let's go ahead and hold this, as the city attorney said, and really probably need some feedback from city attorney, and I don't know who else, but I'm not even sure what to put in that letter except, hey, give us our fair share, right?
well, I think it's basically, these are the rumors that are going around. This is what we're hearing. Our concern is ABC. Because if you're spending it all on lifeguards, are you spending it on lifeguards for Canaveral National Seashore?
Right.
How are you divvying this up? Because we're paying into it also. So, I think no matter what, we could express our concerns.
No, I don't disagree. I'm just not sure what we're writing yet. Vice Mayor.
I'm kind of lost on it, but I did not hear anyone say what was the thought on our District 1 commissioner about all of this in Titusville, because that hasn't been brought. That would be the first contact I think we should address, is our area commissioner, and find out what her thoughts are on the issue, and go from there. And because, out of all of the conversation, she's the one that represents us up here. And we need to speak with her first and have a sit down and say, okay, well, why, what, and how. Okay.
And I don't disagree with that. Actually, I was thinking that when we were talking commission, I was kind of thinking we were probably talking about our rep, and now we're writing a letter to the commission. I agree we should probably go to our commissioner, but at the same time, I would need to understand more what it's a very multifaceted, thick issue, even as you just explained. There's this thought that it comes from the taxpayer dollars, it comes from the tourists at TDC, et cetera. So Member Ball, continue.
I would agree that the appropriate avenues are probably through the council. And I don't know anything other than what the public comments that District 1 Commissioner and the County Commission Chairwoman made. Her position, at least what I heard, seemed very clear to me that for some time she's had on her radar the Brevard Cultural Alliance being weaned entirely off of any county funding, which really, as I understand it, is TDC funding, and is the one who has said expressly, you need to go to the cities. You need to go to the cities to get funding for this, which raises the flag to me that it's not the same bucket of money. And it will cause you problems, and it would cause me problems if I was sitting as a member of council. So it is going to come back on their October agenda. It's going to the TDC for discussion of this concept of merging together some of the marketing events, money for marketing events, cultural facilities with the big events like, air shows or boat shows or what have you. I would encourage you also not to volunteer, Richard, for something, but I think that if the city attorney would take a little time to review the TDC ordinance and the formulas that are in the TDC ordinance with respect to this amount shall go for, promotion of arts and culture, and try to wrap your legal mind around, did the county commission act appropriately to reallocate this money? And I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not saying they did. I'm not an attorney and I don't know the details of the TDC ordinance, but the city of Titusville should have an interest in what it says.
Member Stokel, has there been any discussion of this in the League of Cities at all?
Nope, we have not.
I would say I'm a little disappointed not, because one thing the League of Cities should do is, because it affects all of them. And the first thing I would think is if nobody brought it up at all, it's like, well, wow, nobody thought about it. The second thing is, I would like to think that the League of Cities is kind of united in step on certain issues, and that I think would have been a good one. But
I'll keep
Still
it on,
time.
yeah, my guess is that I'm probably assuming that it hasn't been brought up to the cities just yet, but it would be good for us to be proactive in getting their thoughts, so I can bring it up to them.
okay. And make sure, I'm not trying to be accusatory, but I'm sitting there thinking as we're talking about this, these are the kind of issues when they affect all the cities that there should be some common denominator there. So just a thought. Next card, please.
The last card is Stan Johnston.
Okay, we're talking about the CRA budget, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have a handout here.
We went off into the arts.
Did you want to speak to?
All right, here we go.
Stan Johnson, professional engineer, and your handout is, you almost got it yet, so it says 20 good reasons for termination of city manager. And this has to do with his role in the CRA. So I would like you to look at this sometime, but there's some special issues that city managers should be terminated for without a golden parachute. And the number one item I put on there is not necessarily the greatest, but is the $70,000 fraud that you've seen my poster many times for that. And it's
Stop the
for-
clock. Stan, what's the $70,000 deal you've been talking about for 3 years got to do with the CRA budget for next year? That's
Well,
a question.
It has to do with what these council members, what choices you're
All right,
going
I'm
to
just
do.
going to ask you to talk about what the agenda item is, and we'll see where you can go with that. I really don't want to hear about a 4-year ago thing at this point. Go.
Well, this very much affects the workings of the city and the management of the money.
I don't think so.
okay.
I don't think so. So I'm going to ask you to talk about the budget as written, and if you like it, great. If you don't, tell us why you don't like it.
Okay. I don't like the budget because there's so many things that it's not mentioned in the budget that affects the city. It affects and I have 20 reasons here as far as things that it's affecting the city that are of great significance and that should be looked upon. Like, for example, well, it's not listed here, for example, but you ought to have somebody answering the phone. For example, for this, when people call for sewage spills in the Sandpoint Park, you should have shut the fountains off at the park and at both parks, Sandpoint Park and Spaceview Park, instead of spraying people with this sewage spray. And Mrs. Nelson, she
And the
gave-
budget?
Pardon?
The CRA budget?
This is something you should be on the
This has nothing to
budget.
do with the CRA budget.
It takes money.
I'm telling you, it has nothing to do with the CRA budget. I'd love to hear you talk about that budget.
I wish you, when you're talking,
No, I wish you'd just stay on
I
topic.
wish the
You
clock
stay on
would stop.
topic and I won't have to say a word
But the clock continues.
because you're not on topic. Come on, get it.
No,
Let's
this
go.
is
You can do it.
topic. This is topic. In other words, when I talk about $70,000, I'm talking about fraudulent use of money and and false reports. Those are serious issues. And I think that you should take them seriously too, but you're not doing it. You should. You should, because as far as I can say, the reason that this is going so bad is because council and CRA, they're not looking at what the heck is going on in our community as far as these, for example, the 20 items that I have here, because you need to get rid of them. All right, may I have another 2 minutes?
You may not.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other cards? Member Nelson?
Move to approve the CRA fiscal year 2024 budget and resolution number 22, 2023, to transmit the budget to City Council for adoption on September 21st.
Second.
Have a motion from Member Nelson, a second from Member Cole. Roll call vote.
Member Aker?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Chairman Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Chair Robinson?
Yes.
Member Ball?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Passes. City Manager.
On to item 8B, which is a commercial interior renovation grant for property located at 425 Garden Street. An application for a commercial interior building renovation grant from Patrick Magaho to assist in the renovation of a building located at 425 Garden Street in the downtown community redevelopment area. The applicant is proposing to renovate the building into a restaurant. The upgrade to the sewer line and the plumbing systems was recommended by the Public Utilities Department to bring up to code. An exhaust hood installation systems to assist in meeting fire code and safety. Taking 50% of the low cost estimates for both improvements provides for a grant of $18,811.50. The application appears to meet all of the goals and objectives of the Commercial Interior Renovation Grant Program. Staff recommends approval of the award of the Commercial Interior Renovation Grant in the amount of $18,811.50 to Pat Magaho at the property located at 425 Garden Street. And staff's here to answer any questions that you may have on this grant.
Anybody have any questions for staff? I would simply say that I'm kind of glad to see something like this. These are the kind of things the CRA grants I think are in mind for property located, interior renovation. It's nice to see, concrete things, no pun intended, concrete things happening. And I like to see that. Member Ball.
I'd add to that this investment and this project is in a portion of the CRA that has really been underattended to in terms of capital investment and new things going on. And I know that the council took an action on Broad Street on the right-of-way to vacate that for a commercial project. We don't know what it is, but it's in the same neighborhood. So those are all positive signs. So I couldn't agree with you more, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Member Nelson.
I just have a question. How old is this building?
I believe it was built in 1952, is that correct, Pat?
Okay.
54, okay.
54? Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Again, that's exactly what I think part of our role is. Member Aker.
Is this renovation for a specific tenant that's moving in, or it's just a general renovation to entice somebody? And it's including the hood system as well as the sewer system? Is that correct? Anything exterior? Nothing?
I see no other lights. Call the card.
One card at Stan Johnston.
My name is Stan Johnston, and I'm a professional engineer. And what I've handed out to you is an enlargement of my business card. And it mentions here, and I've sent it to you also on email, And it has to do with making it easier reading. My business card is a very small font. And this is the enlargement of this. This part is the enlargement of that business card. So it has a number of things on it. Now, regarding this commercial interior renovation grant for property located at 425 Garden Street, I do not have objections to that. But I'm here to request that you discontinue this meeting for cause. And the cause is listed as these 20 good reasons for terminating city manager. I don't want to take a lot of time, okay? And just let you know is that I think that you should discontinue business until you take care of this business. Thank you.
Any other card? Member Nelson?
Move to approve the award of a commercial interior renovation grant in the amount of $18,811.50 to Pat Maggio for property located at 425 Garden Street.
Got a motion from Member Nelson,
Second.
second from Member Stokel. Roll call vote?
Member Cole? Yes. Member Nelson? Yes. Chairman Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Chair Robinson?
Yes.
Member Ball?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Aker?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. That's what it's all about. Appreciate you. Ready for petitions and requests. Petitions and requests from the public. Bring up that, oh, Lord, it's falling apart on me.
It's not a disaster. I had planned to speak to you, the disaster continues.
It's that kind of,
I had planned to speak to you about my little vaudeville routine that I did at council last time, but due to the conversation we had earlier, I'm going to skip over that and just talk now about the gentrification of what was priorly known as West Titusville and is now being called Canaveral Heights, working title, till we find out more about the history of that community and can name it appropriately, honoring the legacy of our forefathers, not my forefather, but the forefathers of the community. And I wanted to speak a little bit, therefore, about some things that are going to be coming up in October 5th, when the Vision for Tomorrow is presented to council or to the public about that area. And there were a couple of things that were said in the prior presentation that relate to the CRA. In that, it was said that, this is kind of a quote, that we recognize the relationship between downtown and Canaveral Heights through investment and coordination. So I know the CRA will be looking, or should be looking, at some of the things that are planned for that West Titusville area before it's totally gentrified. And it says, this is downtown's neighborhood, and downtown in some ways belongs to the neighborhood. Those are direct quotes from the presentation that was made to council. So I want to know what relationship there is to the downtown CRA area and the West Titusville area. I haven't noticed much coordination or anything going on over there that's related to over here. And I realize as I begin to learn the structure of how the CRA is, that it's mostly just two hard buildings. Well, there's a lot of property over there, a lot of buildings that could be rehabbed and dedicated to, say, low-cost studio space for artists, not necessarily painters. I would like for us to think outside the box and not to beat an art horse to death, but you know, there's a lot of different kinds of arts. I myself am a variety artist, a musician and a juggler. I was well-funded in my home in Atlanta by local arts counselors, arts councils. And I just think that there's lots of ways that we can look at the relationship between Canaveral Heights, West Titusville, and the downtown CRA area. And I would like for us to think about a cohesive plan that truly integrates these areas instead of just having some outside consultant come and say that.
thank you. Petitions or requests?
Stan Johnston, good evening. And I'm wearing the shirt here, if you noticed.
I couldn't quite read it.
Well, what is it? What is this shirt? Almost Heaven.
West
What is
Virginia,
it?
okay.
Almost Heaven. This is West Virginia. So I've done for probably at least 20 years or so, I've brought this to forefront of CRA and council meetings, is that we are having another West Virginia Day at Fox Lake Park last Sunday in September. I'm going to invite all you guys. It's free hot dogs while they last. And we in 72, we had maybe 1,000 people. Last year, we had maybe 25. So that wasn't very many hot dogs. But I'm just letting people know is that we're having another West Virginia Day. That's one thing I wanted to add.
Say it real quick, say it again.
West Virginia Day, Fox Lake Park, last Sunday in September.
Last Sunday.
Okay. It's what it is. It starts right after church and goes to about 3:30.
Yes, that's the 24th.
Okay. So maybe you and your kids can come.
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you. Okay. Next thing is that this handout that I've given you, I have I've about a minute left, is that it mentions 20 good reasons for termination of city manager without a golden parachute. And I'm mentioning this because as a professional engineer, I am insulted and alarmed at that my testimony. For example, let me say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I have, when I'm up here representing myself as a professional engineer, I am vulnerable to mistakes, to dishonesty, that you can report me. So these are statements. These are not just, this is not hearsay. This is not opinions when I'm talking about this. All these 20 things are not hearsay. They're not opinions. They are my witness. They are my testimony. So it's a big deal. So you want to go ahead and deny this, and I'm understanding is that you can't get a professional engineer. I don't know that you can get one to disagree with any of this. Good luck. So I think what you've got is you've got a situation where you need to get rid of him. He's leading you the wrong way. And these things are facts. They're truths. They're not hearsay. They're not opinions. I especially say that to Mr. Broom. These are not opinions. Thank you.
Anybody else for petitions or requests of the CRA meeting? I see none. City manager?
The last item is the executive director's report. No action items are on there. Subject to your questions, that completes my report.
You know when I say city manager, I mean executive director, but I'm not going to try to remember that. So just know it's the same guy. City attorney? I'm sorry. Did you say yes or no? Vice Mayor?
No, everything
Oh, hit the button. Hit the button. You turned it off.
everything went well. I was hoping the gentleman that made the request of funding from TRA would hope the best of luck to him.
Absolutely.
And to continue to help us clean up time.
I will add what I already said. I think that's what we're here for sometimes. There's a lot of things we're here for, but that's definitely one of them. And when Member Ball speaks to the area that has maybe not gotten the attention that it needs, I'm glad to see that we're on it. So if there's no other comments or questions. Oh, wait, I'm looking at, it looks like he's, nope, okay. All right, this meeting is adjourned, and we will meet at 6:30 for the city council meeting. Thank you all.
This has been the Titusville Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. Stay tuned for the Titusville City Council meeting.
Come on back. Would you slow down if your child were here?